Welcome to I Hate James Dobson. Much like Sir Mix-a-Lot when he sees a big butt, spring has sprung.
That was a journey.
Thank you.
Worth it.
Welcome to I Hate James Dobson. My name is Jake. I'm a former evangelical turned queer sex therapist. And today, I'm once again joined by the breakout star of the worst of all possible worlds, the voice of a generation, Brooke.
Woo!
Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Good. What generation do you think I'm the voice of?
All of them.
Oh, thank you. We're not boomers.
You have a top 10 hit in every decade since the 60s.
Oh my gosh. Way to go, me.
I mix up my references. Voice of a generation is Christina Aguilera.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Why does she get to be the voice of a generation?
That's just what it said. That's what Google told me.
Okay.
Brooke.
Yeah.
How was your time on the worst of all possible worlds?
It was so fun. It's such a good time. Everyone was very nice to me, and they were very nice and helpful and great, but I did really miss you. I was just saying Jake's like my security blanket. And so it was strange to be on a podcast and then not be like, cut that. But I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And I thought the episode was pretty fun.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
We, on our Patreon live stream, we had a number of people. You were not there at this most recent one. Boyfriend filled in. It was a wonderful time. But a number of people said, I wish Brooke was here specifically so we could tell her how much we enjoyed the episode.
That's nice. Well, you can tell me next time. I'll be there next time.
Incredible.
I was busy. I had an emergency salmon I needed to eat. It was the most beautiful salmon I've ever seen in my life. We went to this Mexican restaurant. I don't remember what it was called, but it was very delicious. I was with a friend of mine, and sorry I wasn't there. But it's like a surprise when I'm there.
Yeah. And again, Boyfriend filled in. We talked about cocktails.
How was Boyfriend?
Incredible, wonderful,
Great.
Beautiful. We also did unboxing.
Oh my God, I love unboxing.
So I got a whole suite of new old VHS tapes. And so all of the patrons got to see what they were, specifically because you weren't there, so it's not a spoiler for you.
That's incredible. So everyone knows what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, they do.
Wow. Now I feel really in the dark. I'm sorry. I love you all, but that salmon was worth it. It was
I believe it.
really good. I'm going to send you a picture of it.
By the time this episode is released, Boyfriend and I will have taken our engagement pictures.
Engagement pictures. You are so cute.
We're doing it on Saturday.
Where?
Kind of just around town. We have
Oh
a
my
couple
God.
places that we want to hit. The botanical gardens are up there. The Riverwalk is on there as well.
What are you going to wear?
We have a couple different outfits. Also, he is not home right now. He's on a work trip.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a lot of trying to coordinate outfits via text and a lot of like, what do you have?
I am going to be going on a trip to Hamilton, Ontario in the near future.
Okay.
You might wonder why I'm going to Hamilton, Ontario.
Yes, Brooke, why are you going to Hamilton, Ontario? To see the musical Hamilton?
Nope. Just to see some filming locations from certain television shows.
From Punky Brewster?
No.
Which ones?
Heated Rivalry.
Oh, are you going to go to the cabin?
No, the cabin's far away.
The cabin's on Airbnb now.
Yes, and it's $8 zillion and it's booked for like the next 4 years.
I'm sure.
We looked. We are going to Toronto, and we're trying to get into this restaurant where they filmed in episode 5. And what I found out about this restaurant is like, you don't choose to go to the restaurant chooses to have you there.
Uh-huh.
And I got so scared that I was like, we're not going anymore. We're going to a different, like I was like, and one thing said show up early and have a good outfit. And I was like, that's not who I am. That's not my people. So we're not going there. But we are going to be in Toronto. Then we're going to Hamilton. And we're going to drive around. We're going to all the restaurants they filmed in. It's going to be great. And then the next day, we're going to Niagara Falls.
Ooh.
Which I've never been to.
Uh-huh.
I'm really excited.
That's very cool.
Yes, everyone. The Canada side. Yes, everyone. I will be going on the boat.
You have a passport?
I just went to the post office. I want to just tell everyone a little bit about being a Virgo. I went to the post office the other day with every little piece of information you need to get your passport. My passport was expired, so I had to get it like a brand new one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the post office lady was really proud of me. And then she
Oh.
was super nice to me. It was like a challenge. She's like, do you have a photocopy of your ID? And I was like, I do.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, front and back. I was like, oh, yeah, you know it. And she was like, oh, okay. But did you know that they take away your birth certificate and then they mail it back to you?
No, that's wild.
It feels scary.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I need that.
yeah.
How else will I know that I was born?
Yeah. Trust me, I ask myself that question a lot. I've been asking myself that for 40-something years. Anyway, that's my tale. I'm going to Canada. I'm going on 5 trips starting in May.
Nice.
Canada's the first one. This has been I Hate James Dobson. Join us next time where we talk about my other trips. The end.
And now it is time for Brooke's books.
Oh, wait, yeah. That.
The part of the show where Brooke comes out to talk about books.
Okay, yeah, we could do that part. Listen, I told everyone to follow me on Storygraph, and then I just basically became illiterate and stopped reading. And I took a break. I went Fast and Furious at the beginning of this year. But I will say this. I have been listening to Middlemarch still on audiobook, and I am more than halfway through.
Nice.
I only have a little bit left. I'm trying to get done by the end of April. I am reading a book called What My Bones Know, which is like trauma memoir.
Oh, okay.
Stephanie somebody wrote it.
This book was written by Stephanie Foo, Foo.
It is like a memoir, and it's about CPTSD. It's very good, actually. It's interesting. And I am reading that, but that's a hard read. I'm still reading Mother Hunger. Mm-hmm. And Infinite Jest. Like all the same stuff. I'm trying to think if there's a different other book. I've been reading a lot of IFS books.
Internal family systems.
Yeah. We'll talk off about that. You know.
It can be a useful framework.
That's it. Yeah. Much like the love languages.
Yes.
You can use it a little. You know. My therapist and I have been talking about it a lot.
Brooke, what is your Storygraph?
It's at Brooke Can Read.
Perfect.
I think.
If it's not, I'll insert a thing here. That is correct. You can find Brooke on Storygraph at Brooke Can Read. That is at Brooke Can Read. I also created a Storygraph account for the podcast. So
Yay.
at I Hate James Dobson. It's just books that I've read for the podcast, and I've left very pithy reviews.
Oh, you have? That's cute. I didn't know that. Am I following you?
We're friends or whatever on it.
Oh, okay, good.
My review for Left Behind was, gave me terrible nightmares as a child, which is embarrassing. Unfortunately, it's culturally significant, which is way more embarrassing. 1 star.
Perfect. You know what's funny is at the end of the year, they give you like a breakdown of everything you read, and it's going to be like, you hated everything, and you only read weird religious books.
I gave Wild Faith by Tal Lavin 5 stars.
Of
so
course.
I didn't hate everything.
That's true. There are some books that we don't hate.
Very few, but yes.
Oh, Middlemarch. Actually, Middlemarch, the drama kind of ramped up in Middlemarch.
Ooh.
Yeah. Someone died, and he has a very fishy will, and there's some stuff actually happening at this point. They're not just marching around the middle anymore.
Incredible.
Yeah. So sorry for this lack of books. I will be starting soon. I haven't started it yet, but for all my romantasy fans, I'm starting a book called When the Moon Hatched, which I think is part of a series, and the next book is coming out next month. So I'll report back about that one on the next Brooke's Books.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. This has been Brooke's Books.
Tune in next time to hear Brooke say,
"Those are books. You read them with your eyeballs. Then you fall asleep and you dream about the plots. The plots get weird because they are in your dreams. And then you wake up and think, wow, was I stoned, or was that a dream? Or was that just a really weird book?" Brooke's Books.
Perfect.
You're welcome, everyone. I'm a little slap happy tonight.
You haven't even had any whiskey yet.
I did have a little. I'm a little slappy. But I imagine we're doing something fun, right?
Fun and light, yes.
Great. What is... Oh, you have a lying face.
Today, we're doing a sequel of sorts. We're also beginning a series, which is also a sequel. We've already touched on a lot of this material, but I'm excited to dive back into it.
Spanx? Is it going to be about Spanx?
Potentially.
Great.
We are starting a series of classic Dobson videos. Now, We've already talked about one, What Dads Need to Know About Fatherhood, which is a movie that's a masterclass of using as many words as possible to say absolutely nothing.
But then using as many words as possible to read all the lyrics.
And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, the little boy blue, and the man in the moon.
In that episode, I mentioned that that video was part of a series of lectures from Dobson, sold as the Focus on the Family video series. Even had a poster about it, which is now hanging above my desk in my office at home, like the Sword of Damocles or the Babadook.
I sometimes think about, like, if someone had to, like, emergency go into your office who didn't know you, it just would be so confusing.
Yes.
There's just so many conflicting things in there.
Yes.
And I won't name all of them, but there are a lot. I will name a few of them. James Dobson posters, gigantic cat trees, pride flags, Pokemon toys, other paraphernalia.
Books about queer sex therapy.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Since we have done that episode, I have been able to procure the rest of the tapes, all 7 other tapes, which was harder than expected, a saga that we will talk about as time goes on. But mission accomplished, and like in a real way, not the George Bush kind of way. And so today, we will begin at the beginning, lectures 1 and 2. Like I said, it's something of a sequel as well. Technically, all of the videos in this series are based on books we've talked about before, but today's holds a special place in my heart. You see, when we covered this topic originally, I said that we would revisit it at some point. Specifically, I said there's more to it that we'll pick back up. That was episode 13 and 14 of the show. We're now on episode 55.
Oh my God.
So, Brooke, I have the great displeasure of reintroducing the Dobson book of all time.
Here it comes.
How to Parent the Strong-Willed Child.
Oh no. Okay, let's do it.
This is 2 lectures in one, so I watched 2 hours of Dobson lecture content. There's definitely more actual content in it than the father book.
Okay.
That's not a good thing.
Spanx. I was right.
Yes, you were correct.
That's weird.
You're very correct that it's about spanking. So, in part 1, we're just kind of going to recap what The Strong-Willed Child is about.
Mm-hmm.
These videos are basically a condensed, quote-unquote, polished version of this book, The Strong-Willed Child. We're going to be doing a speedrun of the talking points that he hits, partly to refresh our memories, and partly because I had to watch it, and now I'm going to make you watch it too. Brooke, what do you remember about Dobson's framing of The Strong-Willed Child?
Oh, that children, even as little as like 18 months, are willfully disobeying and disrespecting, which is the word that I always remember jumping out, their parents, and that they need to be broken like horses. But really, it's like you have to break their spirit so that they'll comply. Right?
That's pretty close. Dobson technically separates the will from the spirit. You have to shape the will, sometimes he'll say, while protecting the spirit, which, as we'll talk about, is a distinction without a difference.
Yeah.
But you are correct.
I don't know how you can protect the spirit while beating the shit out of your child, but...
Well, hear Dobson try to explain it.
Yeah, great.
He doesn't do it well, obviously. The main point of this is that Dobson creates a dichotomy of children's misbehavior. Some of it is childish irresponsibility, which this is not about. The other, Dobby says, is willful defiance.
Yeah.
And we have a clip. We have so many clips.
Oh, the haircut got worse.
I want to talk to you this evening about a subject that I feel is extremely important. It's an aspect of children's nature which you will not find in the textbooks on child development. I've never seen it there, and yet every parent alive is aware of it, at least vaguely, if not directly. If you go down tomorrow or Monday and you get a book from the library on discipline, the illustrations, you check me on this and see if I'm not right. The illustrations will talk to you about how to teach your children responsibility, how to get them to brush their teeth, how to get them to take out the trash and keep the room clean and wash their hands before they eat. The examples will deal with responsibility, virtually all of them. I don't want to talk about that for that reason, because that is the easier half of the parent task. And there is another kind of behavior which the textbooks don't talk about. There's an ominous silence on the subject. So let's just take childish irresponsibility and push it over here to one side. And let's go over to the other side and talk about this other kind of behavior, which I call willful defiance. You see, it is very different in nature from childish irresponsibility. It's not that your child forgot something. It's not that he worked too slowly. It's not that he spilt something. It's not that he was too energetic. It was not that he left something someplace. You see, it's not that he was too immature. It deals instead with an aspect of childish nature that is built into our system. It's in the human computer, which causes a child to look you in the eye and say, I know what you want, and I won't give it to you. What you going to do about it?
You know what? I think I was a strong-willed child. And
Wait, sorry. What? That's shocking. I I would, if you were saying so, I guess I could see it, but
the more I learn about James Dobson, the more I think my dad might have been reading James Dobson.
Interesting.
Because I like, as I reflected on this after we did this episode originally, but I think maybe that was something I heard, like this like willfulness or defiance or like that type of misbehavior as opposed to irresponsibility.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, I stayed willful.
Well, we will talk about that, especially in a little bit later, that it doesn't really work in like any way. It's not, this is not a useful construct. It's a fake category that he made up. While some kids can intentionally be disobedient, this is an oversimplified explanation. And I'm really interested in what happens rhetorically in this. I think part of the reason that we're doing the videos is that seeing Dobson, hearing Dobson's a little bit, it just changes at least my relationship to the text. And in this case, that fake category, that binary that he creates, the fact that it is oversimplified lets the audience know this guy has all the answers.
It's interesting that he created this fake category too, because it's universal. Like everyone then has a strong-willed child, because children naturally, as part of their development, are going to test boundaries, right? And so every child, before we know if they're good or bad or whatever, every child is going to see what they can get away with.
Yes.
It's safety.
Yes. Put a pin in that. That's a concept that we'll come back to. It's an interesting, what seems like a gap, but actually is covered by his frame here. So, to correct moments of willful defiance, Jim Dobb famously says that kids need to be corrected. Unfortunately, he says most parents don't do it right. They resort to anger as a motivator, and anger, yelling, screaming, crying, doesn't work.
Now, folks, what I need to do at this moment is to discuss with you what I consider to be the most common mistake that parents and teachers make in handling the strong-willed child or in handling discipline of any sort. And it has to do with using anger to motivate children instead of using action to motivate children. Anger does not motivate human beings. It won't work. It doesn't work with you. It doesn't work with me. Let's suppose when you leave here tonight, you're driving home and you're going too fast. You're going 45 in a 25, and there's a policeman standing on the corner, and he does not have a squad car, and he does not have a badge, and he doesn't have a gun, and he can't write tickets, and he doesn't have a motorcycle, and he can't chase you down.
My God.
He is commissioned only to stand on the corner
and he has brown
scream
hair,
at you.
and he has blue eyes.
His name's Cleve.
Is that going to slow you down? Of course not. You might wave at him as you went by. His anger will have nothing to do with the way you drive. You don't care if he gets mad or not. That has nothing to do with it. It does not enter into your motivational system. What does influence the way you drive is when you're driving 45 in a 25 and you look in the rearview mirror and you see a squad car coming toward you with 104 red lights flashing, and a guy pulls you over to the curb, and out steps a patrolman, and he's about 6'9", and he's wearing leather boots, and he looks so immaculate, and he's got a voice like the Lone Ranger, and he's got a gun on each hip, and he walks up to your window, and he says, "Sir, we had a radar unit on you back there, and it showed you were going 45 in a 25. May I see your driver's license, please?" You see, he's not angry. He's not pounding his fist on the hood. He's not saying, "Why do you drive so fast?" And what do? He says this so calmly, and you go all to pieces. Your hands are trembling, and you're looking for that little card with a horrible Polaroid picture on it, and your sweat's on your forehead, and you're trembling and shaking. Why? He hasn't done anything. He's been polite. He's dignified. All he did was ask you for your driver's license. But you see, what he is about to do with that little leather book is notoriously unpleasant. See, it is his action that influences the way you drive, not his anger.
The purpose of this episode is not to debunk his arguments. Mm-hmm. We have done that already, lest someone, for some reason, think that the podcast, I Hate James Dobson, is in favor of what he's saying. He's wrong and dumb on every level. Specifically, though, yes, anger does have diminishing returns, and it is not a particularly effective parenting tool, especially. Mm-hmm. But we are attuned to the emotions of others, and that actually is a really significant way for social control to happen, right? I have done so many things out of a sense of guilt or shame because I'm afraid of how other people will feel. That changes my behavior based on people's emotions, mm-hmm. right? He's discounting that. Again, it's this oversimplified black and white. Emotions don't work, only action does.
Right.
Also, I don't understand his boner for police, but I will not stand for this propaganda.
And he swaggers over to you. And he's got those tight brown pants.
His ass just looks perky. It's perfect.
He's got that belt. It's leather.
In fact, Dobson says, kids want you to get angry. They get off on it. They will push your limits to see how far they can go, what they can get away with before you, quote, actually do something about it.
I mean, half right, half wrong. That's what I just said. They will push your limits. They do want to see where the limit is. But that's because, like all of us in different ways, and kids act like kids, we're finding where the limits are with people.
Yes. Let's see how much you agree with how Dobson frames it in this clip.
I already know.
What amazes me about children is that they know precisely where your action line is. And well, they should, because you convey it in about a dozen ways. In the first place, you use their middle name at that time. James Robert Bryant. And also your speech becomes much more staccato. You know, young man, I told you. See? And your face turns red. It's a very important clue. Now, what amazes me about children is that they will take you right out to your line. Wherever you draw it, wherever you say, I've had it, that's as far as I'll go, don't go any further, or there'll be action. They'll take you right out to that point and bump it. Bump it, bump it, bump it. But they will seldom go beyond it, except to find out if the action is really there. And they'll test that a time or two, like Siggy did with me, you see, and he'll say, are you really tough enough? Will you accept my challenge? And if the action is there, then next time they'll stop there. And they know a lot more about this conflict than you and I do, because they give their full-time effort to it, and we only play the game when we have to, you see.
Brooke, as you were saying, kids do test the limits of things. They do test the boundaries of things. But Dobson's framing as they're doing it specifically, he doesn't say it in this clip, but in the context of what he's saying, they do it to undermine your authority. That is where this really
because adults also do this.
Yes.
They just do it like adults. If I say, oh, can you, like, for instance, pour me a glass of whiskey, and also can you make me some popcorn, and also can you get me some candy, right? Mm-hmm. I'm testing a little bit to see, like, and can you bring me a cheeseburger? And can you, and we do that in a friendly way. I'm being silly with this, but like, we do it in a friendly way. We do it in a way that is curious, but we are actually trying to test to see where that line is.
Well, kind of. I think to a degree that is true, but I also think Dobson, and it's not just Dobson, there's a lot of psychologists who do this. Freud, I think, famously does this a lot. Views everything through a very specific prism, and it has kind of diminishing returns. So, like, in this, Dobson's frame is he's viewing everything through a power struggle. Everything is in a hierarchy. Who is on top? Who makes the commands and who follows the commands? Mm-hmm. And in some ways, that is true and useful. In other ways, right, like when you do it to me, it's not you saying, and now I'm the boss of you, bitch.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it is when I do it to you.
Sure. Yeah. But that's specific to our relationship.
Right.
Freud viewed everything through the lens of sexuality, which in some ways it led to some really interesting insights. And in some ways, no, it did not.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's like kids are trying to figure out who has the power and what it looks like.
I think they can at times, but one of my fundamental issues with this is not everything's a power struggle.
Right.
And even if a kid is trying to approach it as a power struggle, it doesn't mean that you have to respond accordingly.
Right. You don't have to be in a power struggle with a child because they are a child.
Correct.
You are in power.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something you have to be careful with and thoughtful about, right? But like every adult is in a power position over a child because they're an adult.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying that very well, but...
Well, just by
inherent.
the fact that they are an adult,
Right.
They have all the legal rights of an adult.
Yeah.
Again, there are some times that I think that this is a useful frame, but Dobson oversimplifies it. Dobson makes it black and white. It just is all of the time a power struggle.
Yes.
Also, Dobson says it's important not to act out of anger because then you risk embarrassing or demeaning a kid, hurting their spirit. The will is strong and must be shaped or broken. The spirit is fragile and needs to be nurtured.
He doesn't want you to embarrass or shame them, but he wants you to pull their pants down and spank them on their butt?
Correct. Well, that's why you have to stop around 10 or 13 or so.
Okay.
See, the will and the spirit are two different things. We had a man out there in Los Angeles about 3 months ago who climbed up on the top of a building to jump off. And the police department and about 100 rescue people and everybody, my aunt lives in that building and she told me the whole story, came to save him. He was a man whose spirit was crushed. He had no worth. He didn't even want to live. Finally, they managed to crawl out there and they grabbed him and pulled him to safety and took him off and booked him, and he was going to get some psychiatric help or something. But his mother, and I would imagine his mother had always behaved this way, came down in some indignation and bailed him out. He went straight back to that building up to the 32nd floor and jumped off the building and killed himself in front of my relatives and other people. See what he did? His spirit was crushed, but his will was strong enough to defy the whole city. Army, Navy, Fire Department, police, everybody, rescue. His spirit was crushed. What we need to do is shape the will without breaking the spirit.
Damn. Is that a real story?
Well, it has to be true. His aunt told him all about it.
Yeah, that's true. She lived in the building.
So a couple things. The way he randomly takes things to a 10 is really disorienting. There was no, like, this is now the serious moment in this. We're talking about deep stuff. It just kind of was like, laugh line, suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Folksy anecdote. It's all strung together without transition. Also, one of the things about psychology, I say this with great love and respect to my profession, it's all fake.
Right.
These different frameworks, like IFS, internal family systems, that's not objectively a true thing. It is a tool to help us understand things in specific ways. It is a framework. It's a story that we can overlay onto things and pick out different patterns and then try to adjust things based on those patterns, right? How real or not, how good or not of a tool it is just how effective it is. That I don't find this to be a particularly effective tool.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are strong-willed. You can't just be angry about it, and you have to do something that is actionable but not demeaning. What counts then as a meaningful action like that? Things like timeouts or sitting down and explaining things, helping kids understand their emotions? No, you fucking idiot. You have to physically hurt your child. Primarily through spanking.
Oh my God.
There is a nature in children. You and I have it too, which leads us to challenge authority, even loving leadership in that sense. And I think, again, we've probably given too little attention to it. Now, when it occurs, it is my opinion that a spanking is a very useful tool for a child between about 2 and 10. Not because he spilt his milk, not because he left his books at school, not because he lost his bicycle, not because he didn't feed the cat, not because he was irresponsible. But in those moments when that child looks you in the eye and you know you have a contest underway, and when you've drawn a line in the dirt and he walks out there and he tosses his hairy little toe over the line and he lets you know he's looking for a fight, you really shouldn't disappoint him.
That's a laugh into an applause line.
Whoa.
And of course, spanking is the primary way of doing it, but you can physically harm kids in other ways. It doesn't matter how, just that they are hurt.
I love that he basically says meet them on their child level.
Yes.
Now, if you can't think of anything to do there, maybe I can suggest something to you. I have suggested in my book, Dare to Discipline, that you make use of a little muscle that lies equidistant between the neck and the shoulder, right there. It's called the trapezius muscle. And when you squeeze it, it sends little messengers up to the brain that says, avoid recurrence at all costs. And you walk up to Johnny and you squeeze that little muscle. You ought to practice on each other. And it hurts. It does hurt. And he goes down on the ground. And you say, Johnny, listen to me now. I didn't get any pleasure out of that. That didn't give me any pleasure at all. I don't see any reason in the world for me to ever have to do that to you again. But listen to me, Johnny. Tomorrow night's going to be the same way. You decide.
Creepy. You know who he reminds me a little bit of?
Ted Bundy.
Besides Ted Bundy? The church lady. You know the church lady?
I know many a church lady.
No, the church lady.
From SNL?
Yes.
Okay.
He talks sort of like her and says the same. He has the same kind of mannerism.
I would not be surprised if she was based in part off of him.
I bet so. That's really interesting.
This is an audio medium. We're looking at videos. When he says things like, I didn't like that at all, he smirks.
Smiles, yeah.
He smiles. There's mirth in his voice. He's lying.
Yeah.
He kind of relishes this idea of inflicting pain onto people he would say deserve it.
Right.
So that's kind of like the thrust of his argument here. Kids misbehave when they're being willfully defiant. The way to correct it is not by screaming, not by demeaning. It is by lovingly inflicting a lot of pain on them.
This makes no sense.
Again, this episode is not about debunking or saying all the reasons why he's wrong.
I know.
But just as a point of order, all major medical institutions like the American Psychological Association do not support spanking or physical punishment as parenting tools. They are ineffective. They have long-term negative consequences throughout the lifetime. They have a high risk to become other kinds of abuse as well. There are some statements and studies linked in the show notes below if you're so interested to do further research. Dobson, of course, rejects all of these because he's a self-righteous, arrogant prick.
Also, spanking is anger. It's violence. It's anger, right? I get that it's, people have different thoughts on it. But like if he's saying don't approach with anger, I mean, that is what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll talk about it. He tries to say there's a way to spank that is not out of anger.
No.
I agree. So that's kind of like the rundown, the refresh of his arguments on the strong-willed child. I want to talk about the fact that it's weird to see Dobson saying this.
Yes.
So a fun, quirky fact about me, I don't have visual imagination. I only learned like the last year that when people say picture a river, some people actually see a river in their mind.
Aphantasia.
Aphantasia is the term for it, yes.
This is all that's left of aphantasia. If any of you know what that's from, you win a...
I love Fantasia 2000.
That is not what it's from. And I have whatever the one is that's hyperphantasia.
Mm-hmm. You have a very visual imagination.
Yeah, like I can see, if you said a river, I can see the whole river, every stone in the river, people standing by the river. It's flowing, it's moving. Describing
differences about your inner world can be really difficult. The best way I can describe my experience is that I get the feeling, the vibe. I cannot independently conjure up the faces of my loved ones, for instance, but I know how I feel about them and with them. I've described it as I have an emotional memory. Anyway, I say all of that to say, when I'm reading Dobson's books, I don't picture Dobson saying these things. I know how I feel about them. I can pick up on the tone that he's trying to convey, but to actually see this dumb fuck say it is a somewhat surreal experience for me. For instance, seeing and hearing Dobson introduce his wife, it says more about the relationship than anything that I've read.
Surely.
I want you all to meet my very best friend on the face of the earth. that person just happens to be here by a stroke of luck this evening. I want you to meet my wife, Shirley. Would you greet her, please? This is my beloved wife, Shirley, in whom I'm well pleased. And I'm delighted to have her here. Shirley has heard me speak so many times, folks, that she won't go with me until she is absolutely desperate to get out of the house. And so you know she must be in that condition or she wouldn't be here. I've got her right down here on the front where she can give me all kinds of little signals that we've worked out. A pull on the right ear means that wasn't too good. And if she blows her nose, we might as well go home. But I also want you to meet somebody else that's here that I feel very fortunate to have in the group tonight. For the first time in 2 years, my mother is able to be here, and I'm delighted to introduce Myrtle Dobson to you. Will you stand up, please? That woman right there that you just saw is probably the foremost disciplinarian in the whole world. She has all those skills, and you know that must be true because of how well I turned out. What I don't understand is how come the moment we made her a grandmother, she forgot everything she knew.
You named this while we were watching it. We did a good job casting Emma Thompson as Shirley. Mostly, this has nothing to do with the rest of the show other than I learned so much about their relationship just from watching that, both his relationship with Shirley and his relationship with his mom. If you notice, he subtly negs them throughout the whole thing. Oh, my mom was a great disciplinarian until she fucking lost it. Shirley's great. You can tell she's desperate to get out of the house because she's here, right? Like these little tiny jabs. I don't think he's meaning to be mean to them, but it reveals a lot about how he feels about them.
Well, it's also weirdly trying to be self-deprecating.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's confusing.
It can also be bizarre to hear him recite his folksy anecdotes that I've heard 1,000 times. Here, he's describing a case study. We talked about it in our first Strong-Willed Child episode, but hearing it describe it, as well as his personal reflections, adds a lot to it for me.
This is a letter that illustrates that fact. Dear sir, more than anything else in the world, I want to have a happy family. That's the sad part because there just isn't much chance of that. We have a girl, 7 years old, and a boy, 10. They don't get along at all. The boy and his father don't get along either, and I find myself screaming at the kids. Notice 2 messages I've been trying to convey tonight. One, her only method of discipline is screaming. And secondly, she constantly says, I don't know what to do about it. See, it's an absence of leadership. All right. And I find myself screaming at the kids and sitting on my son to keep him from hitting and kicking his sister. His teacher of the past year, you teachers will appreciate this, thought he needed to learn better ways of getting along with his classmates. And she put that nicely. That teacher went to school for 5 years to learn how to say that. This kid's driving her crazy, and she says he needs to learn better ways of getting along with his classmates. He had some problems on the playground, and he had a horrible time on the school bus, and he couldn't seem to be able to walk from the bus stop to our house without getting in a fight or throwing rocks at somebody, so I usually pick him up and I bring him home myself. He is very bright, but he writes poorly, and he hates to do it. He is impulsive and quick-tempered. We all are now. Please help us if you can. Yours truly, Mrs. T. P.S. Our children are adopted, and there isn't much of anything left in our marriage. I want to tell you all that I really wish, you may find this hard to believe, I really wish if circumstances were a little different, that I could have Billy in my home for a short time. When I said if circumstances were a little different, I meant if I wasn't married to Shirley. Because that probably wouldn't work out under present circumstances. But I'd like to have a shot at him. I would really like to have him for a short time. And I would give him a little message. When he walked through that front door, before he unpacked his suitcase, there's some things I'd like to say to him. And I'd say it with all the emotion that was in me. I'd say, Billy, come on into the family room, some things we need to talk about. I want you to look me in the eye, Billy, because I am about to say the most important thing you have ever heard in your life, and I hope you never forget it. And you're going to find out someday that I mean it. First of all, Billy, I want you to know I love you. You are important to me. I would not have brought you here if it were not true, but there's something else that you should know. In fact, I really think you already know it. You see, you've been behaving in ways that have been very harmful to you, Billy. Not only harmful to you, but to other people. See, you've been breaking windows and you've been eating poorly. You haven't been studying in school. You're failing there. And you've been getting in trouble at school, and you've been giving your sister a hard time. And we both know what's going on. I know the background, and you do too. And I know you're not impressed with that, and I'm not impressed with it either. And that's why, Billy, we're going to change it. We're going to change it because I care enough about you to help you change it. I know that's what you want too. And so, Billy, now listen to me. This is very important. I'm going to make it very, very clear what I expect of you. There won't be any doubt. We're going to write it down, exactly what I expect. And it's going to be highly specific and pretty tight. But, Billy, if the chances prove accurate, it is highly likely that in 4 or 5 days, or maybe a week or two, you're going to ask yourself, what'll he do if I don't do what he tells me to do? And, Billy, that moment will probably come, and you'll deliberately, on purpose, break one of these rules. Not because you forgot, but on purpose. Now, Billy, listen to me. When that happens, I want you to know now that I'm going to bust you. I'm going to lay awake nights thinking up ways to make you miserable. Why? Because I don't love you? No, because I do love you. The easiest thing would be to just let you go on, but I won't do that. You're too important to let you go on. We're going to change this thing, and the two of us together are going to make it. Anything you need to say to me? If not, let's get on with it. You know what I found? Delinquents cannot tolerate that combination of love and discipline.
Like, people haven't tried that with...
Again, the oversimplified nature of this is, I don't think, accidental. I think it's doing a lot rhetorically, which we'll talk about. But the arrogance is pretty breathtaking to me.
Yes, it is.
Dobson has the ultimate I can fix him stance. I'm going to lie awake at night dreaming of ways to make you miserable.
Yeah.
He had written that down before. I think we mentioned that. But to hear him say it hits so different for me. It feels so much more gross.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that differentiates Dobson and this kid's parents and teachers is his willingness to make him miserable. Seeing all these clips adds so much dimension to it. And by that I mean I feel more gross from watching them than I did reading it. The fact that he has so many laugh lines built in, the smile he has in the clip around I didn't enjoy inflicting pain, shows me that this man is sadistic. Like, he does genuinely enjoy it. And that might not be a surprise. And I definitely have speculated as much before, but getting visual and audio proof is wild. I don't like to be correct in this way. Here's Dobson saying kids actually want to be spanked. They know they deserve it, and they are grateful for it.
And the father was telling me that they were in a restaurant, and the 5-year-old was just suddenly bugging everybody and asking who's in charge here. It was so clear that he wanted to know. And he put his fingers in the water and splashed it in his sister's face. He was being sassy to his mother. He was just looking for ways to defy authority. And finally the father had had it. He'd had enough. He reached the action line. He took the boy by the arm, and he marched him out of the door of the cafeteria and out into a parking lot and behind a car where he proceeded to give him the spanking he'd been begging for. There was a lady in the restaurant who watched all this happen and became very indignant. And she got up and she marched out of the restaurant and out into the parking lot and into their faces and shook her finger in the father's face and said, "Let that boy go. If you don't let him go, I'm going to call the police." And the 5-year-old, who had been jumping up and down and crying, immediately stopped crying and looked up at his dad and says, "What's wrong with that woman, Dad?" Children understand. They understand that concept. And it is a deliberate, almost a willful thing, a conscious thing to test you to that point. And wherever you draw the line, that's how far they'll take you.
It is deeply horrifying to see him talk so flippantly like this. It is also disturbing to see so many people enraptured in what he's saying, laughing along, taking notes. To me, a certified hater, these videos make it all the more obvious how much of a fraud he is. But to the audience, seeing him talk seems to soothe their tensions, make him feel like they are learning valuable secret knowledge the experts won't tell you. We are watching a narcissist get the attention and validation he craves from an audience who wants to feel smarter than those around them. It's pretty gross.
It's really gross.
And we have one last clip that I think really exemplifies it like no other.
And folks, do you know what? It's not just the child that can express a strong will, but animals are capable of doing that too. And if I can share something with you at this point, I think it will illustrate what I'm trying to say better than what I've said. Shirley and I have at home a little dachshund, little fella, just like this. His name is Sigmund Freud, and we call him Siggy. And Siggy is, without question, the most strong-willed animal that ever lived. He has a mind of his own, and it's been that way since we brought him home at 6 weeks of age. And he knows what he wants to do, and he does not want to accept any kind of orders from anybody. And this dog, the first year we had him, I was a little worried about him. I thought he was a little bit slow. And the second year, I was convinced that he was mentally retarded. And now I know that Siggy knows exactly what I want him to do. He just doesn't choose to give it to me. But that's Siggy. He contributes nothing to the family. Absolutely nothing. We love him. He's a member of the family. And yet, he minds me. He minds me for one reason and one reason only, and that's because I threaten him with destruction if he doesn't. That is the only reason that that dog obeys me. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I told Siggy to go get in his bed. Now, we have a built-in enclosure out in our family room where Siggy sleeps. And for 6 years, I had told that dog to go get in his bed at bedtime. And for 6 years, he had done it. And for the first time in 6 years, I told Siggy to go get in his bed, and he absolutely refused. And I said, Siggy, go get in your bed. And he squinted his eyes and laid his ears back on his head. The hair stood up on the back of his neck. He deliberately lifted one paw and put it out on the edge of the furry lid, and then he moved the other one out and humped his shoulders. And then he raised his lips and he showed me his molars on both sides and growled at me. Now that's Siggy's way of saying, get lost. And when Siggy gets in that mood, there's only one way to deal with it, and so I didn't talk about it anymore. I just turned around and I went through the hall, into the living room, through the living room, out into the family room to get a small belt. Well, my wife, Shirley, was watching Siggy, and she said as soon as I left, he jumped down, and he came and he looked down the hall to see where I'd gone. And when he saw where I went, he came and got behind her and growled. And I came back and I held up the belt and I said, Siggy, go get in your bed. And he just growled at me. And I burned him one across the rear end, and he tried to bite the belt. And I burned him another one, and he tried to bite me. Now, folks, if I had about 2 weeks to describe to you what took place in the next few moments, I could not put it into words. It was the wildest thing I have ever been involved in. I fought that tiny little dog up one wall, across the ceiling, down the next wall, inch by inch by inch. I fought him toward the family room. He jumped up on the couch in the living room for one last stand. I like to have never gotten him out of there. I finally got him in his bed, but only because I outweighed him 200 to 12. But folks, one time, Siggy said to me, I don't think you're tough enough to get me in there. And we had an all-out battle. And the next night, I really thought that we were going to have another one. And at bedtime, I said, Siggy, go get in your bed. And to my utter amazement, he turned and just trotted right in there. There was no discussion. There was no debate. There was no conflict. And we've been pretty good friends ever since.
That is gross. You know, you have told me before that, not that it makes any difference, truly. You've told me before that he beat his dog. And I kind of thought it was like a big dog. Not that that makes a difference. Don't beat dogs.
Sure.
But I didn't realize there was a 12-pound dachshund trying to sleep on a furry toilet seat.
And again, to hear him say it and the almost whimsy in his voice, there are laugh lines. He says this is a funny, humorous story to prove his point. It's gross.
It's really gross.
Also,
and he gets so off on it. He's like so macho about it. You conquered a dachshund.
I beat that 12-pound dog with a belt over and over and over again.
You know he's pulled that belt out before.
Mm-hmm. Not that it matters, but I cut that clip down a lot. There's 10 extra minutes in this clip that I cut out. I'll probably cut out more.
10 minutes of that story?
He goes on.
It was already so long.
It was already so long. And I'll probably cut it down for the actual episode as well. But like, I know the whole thing about the strong-willed child is that you beat the will out of them. He actually doesn't spend a lot of time talking about spanking actually in this. Like I showed you the 2 times it actually talks about physical punishment. He spends more time talking about how he beat his dog than how you're supposed to beat your children. Part 3, how this fits into the story of the strong-willed child. In our quest to track how Dobson's work became more self-referential than RuPaul's Drag Race, let's talk about how these movies fit into the story of the strong-willed child. Largely, this is just the TLDR, too long didn't read, of the book. He summarizes his points, repeats many of the stories verbatim. Why go through the work of reading a charlatan when his southern drawl can lull you into submission? I say that somewhat flippantly, but I actually think that's a big part of the story to me. Yes, the book was tragically successful, but making it into a movie means so many more people are going to hear it, going to experience it. That poster that I brought up earlier, churches had screenings of these tapes. I doubt that even half the audience at any given church had actually read the book. More people were getting exposed to the ideas through this. And his folksiness conveys the simplicity in his message. Again, an incorrect simplicity, mind you, but he talks in a way that appeals to white Americans' assumptions about common sense. A kid acting out? Just spank him, just hurt him, and you're good to go. No need to dig any deeper. Right, the case study they gave about the kid named Billy who is acting out, it's just because he's trying to be willfully defiant, not because there's some trauma in his history that needs to be addressed. It's easy, and it's wrong, because life is complex and hard, and that's what's beautiful about life to me. Mm-hmm. Relatedly, I think it's interesting to see what's missing. And these tapes, like I said, he basically doesn't talk about spanking. Not really. In the original book, Dobson has a whole chapter about debunking arguments against spanking. He doesn't do that here. He just assumes that it's good as a default and just goes for it. He also softens some of the language around kids. This is grading on a curve, but in the book he describes kids as military leaders and little dictators. In these 2 movies, his words convey much more empathy for the kids than the words of his book. Again, not like a lot. Grading on a curve. And it's not a good thing. If anything, it feels deceptive to me. It feels like a little bit of a PR stunt, sane-washing his own works. Which is a wild descriptor for a video that has 10 minutes of him bragging about abusing his dog.
Oh my God.
What, Brooke, has it been like for you to see Dobson talk about these things that we've talked about before? Again, none of this is particularly new information, but the delivery, the method of delivery is so different.
Well, honestly, not quite as shocking, I think, as for you, because I didn't grow up listening to these words or reading these words or knowing these words, right? Mm-hmm. And I had seen video of him, or I had seen who he was. And like I said, I do have a really visual imagination. Mm-hmm. And so I always sort of imagined him standing at a podium with a room full of rapt listeners telling these folksy tales, right? So I imagine the way that he talks in his books to his readers is similar, I think, to the way I imagine him talking in a lecture to his audience, with this kind of just like, I'm the ultimate knower of all these things. And, you know, so, I mean, the haircut was surprising for sure. But I think, weirdly, Jake, more horrifying for me when it's the book, because
interesting.
When you're writing something, it's like, it's not coming from something you're orating. It's coming from your mind and your brain, right? And so it is scarier to me when it's like, oh, this is like what you think about. This is like in there in your brain. I don't know how to explain it really, but.
there's much more, like, it is a specifically crafted message. You can go
Right.
back and revise it, whereas when you're talking,
Yeah.
unless it's a podcast, you're not going to go back and edit it.
Right. Yeah.
I hear that and I can appreciate that. I also think it's important that it literally is the script. Like,
Right. Yes.
it's verbatim, and so I think it's an interesting mix of both. I've been swimming now in the text of The Strong-Willed Child for so long, and the more time I spend in it, the worse I feel about it. It's a strange feeling to know that something is bad, but then have to articulate the 1,000 reasons why it is, and in so doing discover 1,000 new reasons that you never thought of. Spoiler alert, we have one more episode to go on The Strong-Willed Child, but we are almost done. I hate this stupid book. I hate these fucking videotapes. I hate that so many parents across so much time were instructed to abuse their kids in the name of Jesus. And above all, I hate James Dobson.
I hate James Dobson. I hate James Dobson's haircut. I hate James Dobson's brown corduroy jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And above all, I really feel unsettled about Myrtle Dobson.
Yeah, I'm not a Myrtle fan. I'm going to say it. Brave stance.
You know what, though? I kind of think we should host a I Hate James Dobson Halloween party this year.
Ooh.
And everybody just dress as whatever you want from this universe.
I Hate James Dobson drag show.
Yes.
Incredible.
I want to go as Myrtle.
What would be in your Myrtle getup?
Or maybe Shirley. I want to go definitely as one of these 80s. Like a thick wool plaid skirt that cuts right at the calf.
Mm-hmm.
A cable knit sweater vest. A pussy blouse under the sweater vest.
Uh-huh.
And just like the hair, I don't even know how they do this hair. Like hair that's like a poof.
Defies nature.
Yeah, the strong-willed hair.
That's what's unnatural. Fuck homosexuality.
Yeah, exactly. And a thick pump.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Darlene Mitchell would be proud. Extra special thanks to all of our patrons who make the show possible, but especially those who have subscribed at the Certified Hater tier. Special thanks to Amber, Ben, Betsy C, Brenda, aka Wrong Brenda, Bunny with the Switchblade, Kira T, Kaylee Ann, Cardamon, Chad S, Crystalline, Dez, Drew, L, Jerry L, Hannah B, Hannah L, Helly R, Jamie B, Jared B, Jen F, Jenna KD, Jennifer A, Joanna, Julie Beth of Tarth, Cami, Carissa P, Katie M, Christopher W, Lindsay D, Lyra S, Margaret H, Megan, Melody B, Melody S, Mrs. M, Peter H, Rachel H, Rabio 717, Sawyer N, Sean L, Spruce, Stacy, Timothy D N, Tora W, Tyler M, Unwritten Page, and Ray. You all are my heroes.
All right, that was torturous, and I hated it.
I Hate James Dobson is a product of Red House Media and is a labor of love, spite, written, recorded, edited, and produced by me, Jake. I'm honored to be joined on this journey by my amazing co-host, Brooke. If you're enjoying the show, please consider rating and reviewing it. And if you want to connect with us more, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/IHateJamesDobson. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, Reddit, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Facebook at I Hate James Dobson. You can email us at IHateJamesDobson@gmail.com. We have merch available at IHateJamesDobson.printful.me, or, if all of that's too much, simply go to IHateJamesDobson.com to find everything about the show. Our theme music is by Moonbase, and the song is called Trendsetter. Special thanks, as always, to Drew, Lindsay, DJ, Jack, Gary, and Karina. And thank you, reader, for enjoying our show.
And can we just talk one more time about that weird little PS where she's like, oh, and by the way, my kids are adopted.
Yeah. We talked about it in the first go-around of this. in the original version of this, I presented it as a case study and then said, what questions do you have? Like, we were using the real therapist brain. And like, there's so many questions I have just about the adoption piece. And that really changes how you relate to the kid, to relate to the information about it. It informs the story so much. And that's not even considered a little bit. That's just a fun little anecdote for Dobson, not a really important part of the story.
Yeah. Even Dobson's anecdote there about, like, I would take him into my house, this little orphan nobody, right? Like, it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. And the line people draw between disobedience and adoption has always been confusing to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hated that.
Okay, bye.
Bye.